So, in this tutorial, I'm just going to show you how to load a JSON file. Okay, so I just assume that you have prepared a JSON file. Inside the JSON file, just like this example, yeah, you can download this JSON file from the website I provided, so that you can just trying to do something similar in this example. So I will show you step by step in Python how we are going to load a JSON file, and we can do a lot of operation after you load the file into an object and do some manipulation for the specific data inside your data format. Okay, so but before that, I just want to tell you, in Python we need to know some basic concept about the serialization and deserialization. So the terms just look like so professional or so weird. What does that mean? Serialization or deserialization? I'm trying to make it simple and just write a simple statement about the definition of serialization. Serialization just means convert an object to a string. Okay, convert an object to a string. And deserialization is in reverse, convert a string to an object. Okay, so understanding these two terms are really important to continue for your learning journey about JSON, because we are doing a lot of serialize and deserialize in our Python journey. Excuse me. So some important function, okay, you need to know at least in this tutorial is no, LOAD no, and LOAD s. So these two functions look really similar, but actually they are different. What the difference between these two functions? Okay, so I try to explain to you. No just mean deserialize the JSON from a file. Okay, and no's with s mean deserialize the JSON from a string. Okay, so both doing similar things, but one from a file, another from a string. So what does that mean? Sometimes we can just import some file to your Python, and you can just read it and do some operation. But sometimes maybe you are just writing the string in your Python program itself. I will demonstrate in the coming tutorial so that you can understand it step by step. But before that, I just try to show you an example, because through example you can understand more easily and not in an abstract. Okay, alright. Anyway, just let's do it together. First of all, of course, you need to import the JSON. Every time you are doing JSON operation, you need to import the libraries. If you still don't know how to import the JSON, just use the pip install and you can install the JSON. But usually by default, your PyCharm have the JSON libraries when you create a new project. Anyway, so and first of all, define a file name. Okay, define file name. Okay, you see, I try to already put the file inside my navigation, and then right click, and I can copy the path. Right click and copy the path, and I just put the path inside the JSON file name. So now you can see the JSON file name is equal to properties.json. Okay, so I define the file name. And why? Because I'm going to call and trying to open the file. And in order to open the file, you need to have the JSON file name. And that's why I need to make sure the file name is correct. Because if the path is not correct, you cannot do anything in this example. You need to make sure you have the correct path so that you can continue with the following coding. Okay, so Another thing you need to alert is about the encoding. You can see I need to define the encoding with UTF-8. Okay, UTF-8. What is UTF-8? That is the encoding standard. Some encoding like ASCII, UTF, or even other kinds of Robotic, or even the Chinese characters, a lot of different kinds of encoding. But usually we use UTF-8 because it is like a universal encoding, can open and write different kinds of file. Okay, so in this line of code, we are doing something like we are trying to open the file using the open function. Okay, and put the JSON file name and another argument called out. The out just means the reading the file. Okay, and comma and encoding equal to UTF-8 and new 9 equal to an empty string. Okay, as the JSON file input. All right, so just trying to doing the similar things in your Python program, trying to open the file name with this one line of code. Okay, and then we will try to use the load function. Remember that I write it above. What is the function of load is stand for? It trying to deserialize the JSON from a file, because in this example we are going to operate a file instead of a string, and that's why we use load instead of nodes. Okay, and so I define a variable called load JSON equal to JSON and dot node called this function, and inside the argument I put the JSON file input. That is what I'm trying to open, and make the alias as JSON file input. Anyway, so now you can see the file, the JSON file node into the variable loaded JSON. And now I just use the print function, trying to print it out, and you will see just a few lines of code, we have successfully opened the JSON file and load the data into the loaded JSON, and that's what we need. Can you see? Now you can see in the loaded JSON we have the all the information from the JSON file, and you can do a lot of tasks, and you can do a lot of interesting mission through this simple example. All right. So in the coming tutorial and example, I will show you go through more deeply how to use the JSON libraries and do a lot of really fun things and even some real world examples so that you can understand it deeply.